back song. Good to go.
Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Undrafted Uncensored, where I love this time of year because I just love meaningful college football.
It's pretty
time
fun,
of year
man.
means anything, right?
Right? I love these games. They mean so much. These kids are playing hard. Even if they're being obliterated, they still come out trying to make it into a ball game. We've had some good ones today. Obviously, last night, Pac-12 championship. We'll get into that. The second half was a fun game to watch. The first half was a little bit of a runaway for a while, but we'll get into that.
Oh, our first disagreement there, buddy.
Well, we'll start with the most obvious one because that's where we always start. The Broncos are heading to Houston. Actually, they're probably in Houston now as we speak. They better be at least. And speaking of meaningful games, this is where these games start to mean something because now you're on a 5-game winning streak. You're on the outside looking in at a wild card position. This game will help you in that wild card. And here we are. It's time for the Broncos to prove who they really are. So, Colin, I'll start with you. Is this a big game?
Is this a big game?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's a big game because
No.
the Broncos, I mean, they're playing meaningful football in December. They have a chance to slide into a playoff spot, although I don't think they will this week because the other matchups around the NFL win or, I mean, if they win, they won't. If they lose, they obviously definitely won't. But is it important? Yeah, because they're in the hunt and we're talking about them. They're a team that has drastically changed and transformed their kind of identity. They've become from a turnover-prone team to a turnover-causing team. So they've really transformed and put the training wheels back on Russell Wilson. And they're scoring some touchdowns. And they're not winning by just one score.
Let's be fair. Cortland Sutton is scoring some touchdowns.
Cortland Sutton. The rushing game, I believe, still has one. Or no, two. Because Russ
has one.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody gets one.
Don't, Peter.
I guess everybody gets one.
I mean, is it a big game? Yeah, of course it's a big game. The NFL flexed it to 11 a.m. because the other 11 a.m. game sucked. And so, yeah, it's a matchup that I don't think anyone at the start of the season saw. I definitely didn't.
No.
See the Houston Texans for one being relevant.
Yeah.
And two, the Broncos being
relevant,
but after 3 weeks, 2 weeks, hell. I mean, 1 week after any amount of time, like who thought the Broncos were going to be relevant when game one, Josh McDaniels goes in there and beats the Broncos.
Yeah. I think I'm not at home right now, so I don't have the slip of paper with all of our before preseason picks, but I don't think any of us had this as a loss for the Broncos. I think we all just picked a win because Houston was rebuilding and super young and not going to be able to do it. And holy shit, CJ Stroud is good.
Yeah, this could have been of all of them like my last win on the schedule.
But
I know I don't have them beating the Lions.
No,
not at the time. No.
So yeah, it's crazy how both of these teams have really just made some strides, and both are coached. Both teams have new coaches and new identities. And it took a few weeks for the Texans' identity to also come through. So it's really – hopefully these are two teams on the rise because I think naturally the NFL wanted the Texans and the Broncos to have some sort of rivalry.
Kind of a natural rivalry like what MLB is doing with the Astros.
Yeah, I think the NFL wanted that because all those years and maybe it was the Kubiak and Bolin thing or whatever, but the Texans always came here to practice. But we always played the Texans. It was either preseason or during the regular season.
Yep, Texans and Cardinals every year.
Yeah, and so I think the NFL kind of wanted that. But neither team has been relevant at the same time.
No, not even close. Sadly. But no, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm excited. To answer your question, Nick, yeah, I think it's a big game. This is definitely, it's one of the last games that they play against a good team. Besides, I think the Lions is the only other one. Like a over 500 team, I think is the actual stat. But like just from the eye test, a good team. This is going to be a massive test, I think, because now it's been a few weeks. Things have felt a little bit fluky, but the Broncos have taken advantage of those flukes. And in unlike years past when they would have, sometimes they get good bounces, but they would just screw it up, or something terrible would happen or whatever. They've managed to capitalize, and like you said, they do better with the training wheels on Russell Wilson. It's kind of awesome, but it's what we said at the beginning of the season, that that's the formula for this Broncos team to win, is run the ball consistently, keep Russell Wilson under center, doing play action, working off of the run, and utilizing the talent of his receivers. None of us thought it would be Cortland Sutton. We all figured it'd be Jerry Jeudy or Marvin Mims maybe, but hey, I love it. But this is going to be another test. Houston has a really good pass rush. Will Anderson is no joke. So even though their defense as a whole is not great, the offensive line is still going to have issues. So I feel like it's going to be another slow, grindy, offensive kind of game, and then hopefully they can contain CJ Stroud. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
See, but that seems like one of those things where it kind of plays into the benefit of the Broncos, though, because yes, they have a good pass rush, but we've seen Rush check down the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
And they've been able to exploit the hell out of the middle part of that field. And
I love check down Russ.
It's sometimes annoying, and it's football 101, but for football 101 is football 101 for a reason. It works.
Well, yeah. How often did Drew Lock check down? Almost never. And it drove us crazy. Is it not a sexy play? Sure. But it's an important fundamental play that gets you yards. We learned that from watching Sean Payton in New Orleans with his, bevy of running backs, to use different words, and always passing to them, doing little check down screens, all that. It's a huge part, and especially when those are some of the most talented guys on this offense, they're utilizing really all three.
Well, and that's what sets up all the deep shots. Even in the Thursday night football game, we saw similar things get set up because of the running game and the check down game that those teams have. It can set up the big plays, and sometimes those big plays are just pass interference penalties. But because the corner ends up going up and biting on it, you get the benefit of the doubt. Your wide receiver is there behind the cornerback. So are we writing other crap?
Were you?
I see it. Oh my God, we're using tools that are in front of us. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I didn't even know everyone knew how to do this. Next thing we find is the mute button for my farts.
No, never mute your farts. Always keep them alive.
But yeah, this is the Sean Payton staple. So I was at the station earlier today, and I was watching.
Give me a sec, guys. I got to give somebody a hug.
I was watching the Dr. Pepper's throw tuition challenge thing, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And I made a joke. I was like, it looks like a lot like Russ throwing to Samaje Perine. Because they're all just doing the two-handed chuck into the Dr. Pepper bottle. Hashtag not a sponsor, but DMs are open, guys. So, yeah, the two-handed chuck, oh shit pass, check down to Samaje Perine that goes for 13 yards. Yeah, not sexy football. Not
kind of like a Kamehameha,
No, I was saying it's like the tuition toss in college football that they do every year.
Yeah, I like all of
the
it.
bowl game.
Yeah.
So it's but if it wins, it wins. I mean, the Tennessee Titans were the champs of their division year after year after year with the most unsexy offense, but the best running back in the NFL. But there weren't a lot of stats. The games weren't fun to watch. It was slow. It was plodding, but they won. And
Yeah,
they won year after year. They were the number one seed over the Kansas City Chiefs.
that was
Like
nuts.
we
Yeah.
forget that they were that good. And I know the division wasn't great, but
Yeah.
they were still the number one seed. That's 6 games that you play in your division. They had to win another 7 games to be better than the Chiefs.
And let's
So
be real, the AFC West probably wasn't that much better.
No, the AFC West is not much better. They just eat themselves alive to the point where they end up getting ranked lower because those losses count against them. And, even if you're losing to the Broncos or the Chargers, that still hurts you because the Titans were running through their division
Literally.
like they didn't even exist.
Yeah. So there's different ways to win football games and to be a good football team. Now, we can all agree that the Titans, the only time that they really were a contender was when Tannehill started. He actually found his groove one year offensively, passing the ball.
Yep.
And then you combine Derrick Henry. So you needed both of those, but he was more competent than he was normally,
Yeah.
I should say. And that's when the Titans really were a team that you should be afraid of because that whole Tannehill, all he needed to do was hit the open receiver because everyone keyed on Derrick Henry.
And the open receiver was also A.J. Brown. That was when they had A.J. Brown his rookie year. That was the year they upset what was it? Was it Kansas City?
In the second round.
It
Well,
was they upset Baltimore, I want to say, or Buffalo. They upset somebody really good.
I think it was Baltimore in the
Something
second
like
round. Because they still
then,
had the 2 I want to say it was still the 2 bye weeks probably.
They had a couple big upsets. Whereas
it might have been the first
diarrhea
year of
game.
the 1 bye week.
Yeah.
It was the year of the diarrhea game.
The diarrhea game.
That's awesome.
The different Browns.
Yeah.
The other Browns. But I'm trying to remember the
Mark
other
got a piece of the Browns.
No, I'm pretty sure it was the Ravens. You are right.
No, but they did it twice. Like the Ravens was one of them, but there was another one that got them to the AFC Championship game against Kansas City, and they lost to Kansas City. But wasn't it 2 games that they won that they shouldn't have against some pretty solid teams? I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was the Chargers because
no,
we'll come back to this. I'll hit the Google machine here.
But yeah, like that's kind of the point where I mean the Broncos are at. They have these good games ahead of them, and they're playing meaningful football. We'll see what comes about it. They're still a paper tiger come playoff time, make it or not. I don't think that any of the teams in the playoffs are afraid of them. The one thing that I do have to say is the Broncos had the best record against winning football teams in the NFL, I believe.
Okay, so it was New England in the wild round with it was Brady's last year in 2020. And then it was Baltimore in the divisional, and then they lost to Kansas City. Sorry,
you're good. So there's a part of me that kind of thinks that some of these teams could be taking the Broncos lightly.
Hopefully,
coming in to play the Broncos just because of how the season started, and now they're going to have to start putting some respect. I mean, we've said it before: any team on any Sunday can win. But I think some teams have taken the Broncos more lightly than they should because the Broncos are playing competent football.
Yeah.
So if you were, I'm gonna pose this question: do the Broncos need to score 30 to win this game? That's their next high water mark is to be able to cross that 30 mark.
I wouldn't say they have to score 30 to win, but I'd say if they do score 30, they do win. I think their defense is good enough to hold Houston under 30. But Houston's good, and they're going to score a lot. I think they can win a slow and grindy, especially turnover heavy kind of game like they've kind of forced everybody else into. But this is going to be, not bad weather, not cold. Like everything's going to be fine. They're just going to have to kick someone's ass to kind of force one of those games. So you're not wrong that might end up being what it takes, but I don't know if they necessarily.
Oh, damn it. I forgot about that. My bad. I forgot about that one. My bad. I totally forgot that they.
See, the defense, I think, is better than that. But also, Houston's better offense than Washington.
Well played, sir. I forgot about that.
Well played, sir.
Once you said they got to score 30, they got to cross that threshold. I mean, it's going to pull up the picture that you sent me on my phone.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. We don't need that evidence.
Do they need to score 30? I like Joe said, the way the defense is playing, I don't think that they need to score 30. Could they? Should they? It would be nice to see. The one thing that you should remember is that this Houston Texans defense last year was one of the best defenses against the pass, and they haven't been as good this year, but that's also because CJ Stroud is putting up numbers and the other team is being forced to pass.
Yeah.
So their rushing numbers, the rushing yards against look a little bit better because other teams are having to pass more because Stroud is scoring. So I think that there is don't forget how good they were last year against the pass. And last year also teams were running more. So there is a give and take with that. You can kind of pick and choose what you want. But I think that their pass defense is better than it's advertised for this year, maybe underrated. While their rush defense might be a little overrated right now just because they haven't had to face as much. So if the Broncos stick with their same philosophy that they've been doing, double up the rushes compared to the passes, or, maybe not double, 1.5 to 2.5, whatever. I don't know. I was promised there would be no math, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
I was told that
you're the one that was going down the math route anyway. I was leaving that alone. That was all on you.
There's Colin. He's getting into math lab.
Yeah.
So if
Denver Christian,
hey, the former Crusaders, now the Thunder. Crusaders didn't need math; they just needed swords.
That's true.
So if the Broncos if they can keep that philosophy and the run game and the short pass game, they have a chance to win. And win that turnover battle. They've kind of proven they need to win that turnover battle in order to win games, and win it in a big way with all these 4 turnover games.
Yeah, and try to actually take advantage of those turnovers. Because there was that one game where they had a whole bunch and they scored 6 points off of it was 3 or 4 turnovers. It was kind of ridiculous. Still won the game, obviously, because we're on the big winning streak that we're on. But taking advantage of those, really being able to be timely with that offense. This offense reminds me more and more of the 2015 offense, where it's not great, but it scores when it needs to. And as long as they can continue to do that and control the time of possession also, so CJ Stroud doesn't have as much time to go out there and just kill you. Yeah, I like this game. It's one of those things where both teams are licking their chops right now, because whichever team can establish the tempo of the game is going to win. If Houston can establish we're playing fast, we're playing loose, you have to keep up with us, it's over. If the Broncos do the opposite, where they slow the game down, the Broncos are Chris Paul in this analogy. Slow everything down, be methodical and precise.
Oh, man, thank God it's not April. We'd be injured.
I know, right? Damn straight. This is peak Chris Paul season. Actually, I think Chris Paul is injured right now. Him and Gary Payton are both out for the Warriors. But whatever. That's the like we've all said. That's the formula. If they can do that, I think Houston's going to have a really hard time keeping up with that, because Devin Singletary is good, their offensive line is good, but they're not great. I don't know if they'll be really grinded out and force those touchdowns. Has Tank Dell got hit in the mouth yet? I'm not sure.
Well, Kareem Jackson's not playing, so it probably won't happen.
PJ Locke was still throwing some wood on some people. So
Yeah, I mean, BJ Locke was looking like Kareem Jackson last week. That's for sure.
I think he was
We
trying
had
to. He was trying to channel his inner Kareem.
And speaking of Kareem, we'll just jump on that story real quick. I mean, he went and met with the commissioner, and obviously nobody's going to tell us anything about that stupid meeting because apparently it's confidential and between the player and the NFL. Do you think he was able to get his point across? Because again, we have a repeat offender who's this season been suspended twice now and fined a significant amount of money. Basically, he's almost playing the NFL season for free at this point, it seems like. And do you think he was able to make a point to Commissioner Goodell with maybe some other evidence and just the pace of the game itself as it is? Because this isn't 1982, this is 2023, where these guys are faster, stronger, bigger, and more powerful.
Well, first of all, I don't think it matters if he got his point across. It doesn't make a difference because he's still going to get targeted because of past plays. It's going to get called on him no matter what. The refs are going to lean more towards him being guilty than innocent in any of the cases going forward. And we knew this. I mean, we've known this for years.
Yeah.
Well, if he wanted to make his point, he should have met with Goodell during Thursday Night Football, and then that hit on Ferguson, I want to say it was the tight end for the tight end for Dallas when he got lit up. I think it was Jamal Adams basically did the same thing. Would have been like, oh, is he getting 4 games? Just meet with Goodell during a football game, and then just watch that game and tell me the difference. Just have his hit on replay going against all the other ones.
Yeah, bring a tin of popcorn. I mean, it's that time of year. You can get the 3 flavored cans of popcorn. Get yourself a 12-pack RC Cola. Throw it in a little cooler. Cola. Yeah, RC. You like that, didn't you? Bring that with you to the meeting. Say, Mr. Goodell, dinner's on me. Order a pizza. You got yourself some popcorn, some pizza. Watch the game, and you can both discuss how you view the game. You can view it from a player perspective, and you can view it from a commissioner perspective. This way, you both understand where the other's coming from.
And I feel like Goodell is more willing to listen to Kareem Jackson than the actual Players Association that keeps levying these fines and continuing these suspensions. I think like Derek Brooks and those guys kind of have a preconceived view of Kareem Jackson as well. So I think that's part of the issue too, is those guys have seen him do this so many times and their view is like solely focused on guys that hit with their head too many times. So I think a lot of those guys are going to still have those issues with him too, just kind of like what Colin said with the referees. I think the same thing is going to be happening with the like Safety Commission, Players Association. The exact group name eludes me. I know NFL, Derek Brooks is the one that sends out all of the stuff for like the fines and all that kind of stuff. He's the one that denied his appeal this most recent time. And so I don't see that changing. Even if Goodell is more sympathetic and like what's Goodell even going to be able to do? Like maybe he can return some of the fine money, but like he's already suspended. And I don't think he can affect the suspension. That has to be the group that levied the suspension.
No, the commissioner can reduce it.
You can? Okay.
He's the one who reduced the first one.
Oh, okay. Word.
But like I said, it still doesn't. I don't think it matters.
It's a bad look for them at the NFL, I think, too.
Like
so they're probably going to try to uphold the suspension just from on the outside. You look at it; he's had so many infractions. Whether you could argue some of them were legit, some of them weren't. But at the end of the day, I think on paper they're just going to have to uphold the suspension just for precedent's sake, really.
I mean, it's kind of like that straw that broke the camel's back. Was that his dirtiest hit ever? Hell no. No. He's had much worse that deserve way more, that harsh of a penalty. But it's the culmination of all those other ones that weren't flagged and infracted. I mean, it's that person who, shows up to work. Maybe they show up 30 minutes late, like every day for a month or whatever. I don't know. But then finally on day 31, they show up 1 minute late and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it wasn't the other 30 minutes, but today the 1 minute that's I'm over it.
Yeah, like sorry, you can't.
Yeah,
That's how it is.
So that's what I feel like this really was, and I think that his conversation with Goodell was more of a why didn't you reduce this? And Goodell was like, dude, it's your second time, like this season.
Yeah,
You
like, dude, it
just
was the
got
first
You were
possession
back
of
for
the
a play.
game.
Yeah, you were back for a play. And this happened. That's really what it comes down to,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Oh man, I don't know. It's the dude's so good, but it's just so frustrating that he just can't win. And I know he has to correct some of how he plays, but at the same time, this was one of those times where he actually didn't hit somebody incorrectly and still got hit for it. And like you said, his history plays into it, and his history is going to play into it the rest of his NFL career.
Yeah. Well, and that actually, does Kareem Jackson just retire after this year?
Yeah, honestly,
No.
probably.
I mean, what's the point in him playing if he's going to keep playing like this? And what team is going to want to sign a guy? I mean, are the Broncos going to want to keep a guy who could possibly be out half of their games?
I still think he has too much pride to go out that way. I think he wants to go out on his own terms still, and I mean, I can't blame him for that. But like you said, who's going to sign him at this point too?
Yeah, like he's going to be sitting there because he sat there free agency all the way up into like most of preseason before the Broncos re-signed him again. Like my buddy and I were talking about it, the guy who's the chef for Pat Surtain, because he knows Ronald Darby also, and just talking about the secondary in general. And like, man, I don't think they're going to bring him back is what he was saying. I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like they needed somebody at strong safety. Like we like Caden Stearns for sure, but relying on him and PJ Locke, I think that PJ Locke actually would have been fine as a backup, and we would have been okay. But you don't really know that. I think the fact that they've had enough decent safety play, Caden Stearns coming back, PJ Locke playing well, maybe they bring in another guy, draft somebody, sign a free agent backup. I don't think they want to take that risk, like you said, of having the guy be out. He's also old. I don't see a ton of and honestly, this has given him maybe more publicity than he had before. So he might actually get himself a shot with another team that wants like that style of I don't give a fuck kind of safety that he plays.
I mean, well,
see the Jets bringing him in as a backup guy to come hit people. I
got an even better one. The 49ers, they just lost their safety. Yeah. I think he had an Achilles or an ACL last week. Fala, I can't remember what his name is.
Hufanga.
Yeah. They just lost him, so he was
first team All Pro last year.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be able to play next year. But
he's 35.
My point is just like I don't know if he can play in this league. He might just be so frustrated that the NFL isn't letting him play that that's it. He's done. And like I said,
I think that is him going out on his own terms, saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. I'm going to take my money. I don't want to play for half of the paycheck I'm promised, and I'm being promised less and less every year in paychecks anyway.
Yeah. When half of your checks are going to the NFL charities.
Yeah, and they're going to offer you less because you're old.
Well, and he turned 35 in April, so he'll be 36 next football season.
Word.
He's getting up there in football age.
Oh yeah, but he's got enough in him. Like he's got still some speed. Like he's definitely not as fast as he used to be, but like he's less of a liability in coverage than you would expect an old school hard hitting safety to be, and that's because he was a corner for most of his career, and he switched to safety on. But yeah, now that we talk about it, I almost feel like he probably will get signed next year by somebody, unless there's some kind of like mandate put out by the Players Association, Safety Commission people, whatever, that like, we're going to overfine this guy, but yeah, they signed Vontaze Burfict, the Raiders did. So he was 10 times is. I don't think Kareem Jackson's actually dirty. I was going to say he's 10
No.
times dirty, but I don't want to even say that Kareem Jackson's dirty. He's not.
I mean, he's dirty according. He's dirty according to the rule book.
To the new rules.
Yes. Yeah. So
you put him back there with Steve Atwater and Dennis Smith back in those days. Put him back there with John Lynch.
Yeah.
Even back when John Lynch played.
Brian Westbrook.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot
Brian
of
Dawkins.
I mean, he's one of those guys.
You said Westbrook.
That's a running back.
Window.
That's the same Eagles team. They were at least there at the same time.
Yeah,
and their names are Brian. Sorry, Nick.
You're making a point. Window. He's one of those guys that would have been good in the early aughts, late 90s, even early and late 80s and 90s.
Because he's such a small dude. His play style reminds me of Bob Sanders, Troy Polamalu. Those guys are probably a little bit better because they were a little bit faster. But he's way more durable than Bob Sanders. So
yeah. I mean, could you imagine the jacked up segment when it would just be K-Jaxed up?
And Kareem jacks him up again.
Here's your weekly Kareem Jackson jacked up.
Oh, that sounds
awesome. It would have been a weekly part of that segment.
TJ would have loved that.
Yeah, he would have.
That sounds great.
It would have been just basically a TJ Bronco highlight reel at that point.
He's like, every week I get to talk about my Broncos. Let's go.
Yep.
I love this.
Oh man, that would have been awesome. I didn't think about TJ and his jacked up. That would have been fun.
I miss Tom Jackson. He was.
He's
in the Broadcasting Hall of Fame and the he should be in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's one of those guys. I think Randy Gradishar should still be first, but I think Tom Jackson needs to be considered for the next guy in the Hall of Fame for the Broncos. It's between Jackson and Mecklenburg. I feel like for after Randy Gradishar and Gradishar I think is getting in next year too.
Gradishar better be getting in next year because that
goddamn right.
That Orange Crow's defense is so lacking in representation for being one of the best of their era.
It drives me crazy. There's literally no other group of players in maybe even the history of sports that has a nickname and went to a championship but doesn't have a single fucking player in said Hall of Fame. You can look at any sport.
What are you talking about? There's the Steel Curtain. Oh wait, no, they're good. The Purple People Eaters. Oh wait, no.
Yeah. Oh no. Too. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. The Killer Bees.
Oh wait,
they're good.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, that's tough.
I wish I had some efforting music to play right now.
One of these
We're
days,
a few years removed, but I'm sure Legion of Boom and No Fly Zone are both getting people in.
Yeah.
Maybe even hopefully not before Orange Crush, but still,
Yeah.
Is this part of our? Is this part of our victory formation, or can I?
No. You guys insisted last week it'd be part of our victory. So you know what? We'll just pick it in the victory formation.
All right. Well, you got mad at me last time.
Give you guys what you wanted. Don't get angry at me. Don't get angry at me
last time.
No, I wanted to pick it. Yeah. No. If we have to wait to open our presents, I guess we can.
All right.
Oh my God, you guys are so bipolar. What the fuck are you guys talking about? Last week it was no, it has to be part of victory formation. We have to pick this game. It's not in prime time. And then I put it in the victory formation. You guys were like, let's pick it now. Oh.
I've always been let's pick it now.
Nope.
Yeah. Every time. I'm like, let's just pick it because I don't care about waiting. Let's make our picks, even if it is part of the victory formation. Whatever, we can add it in later.
Tape.
Every single time I have been, let's just pick it now. Every time.
All right,
Nick's, old man over here.
He's right there. Anyway,
I got it.
So we were talking about this before we took off. Colin apparently disagrees with me. The first half of that Pac-12 championship game was not as entertaining as the second half was for me.
I'm assuming Colin had a bet.
I got one reason why.
Okay.
Tell
63
me
and a half.
why.
I had 63 and a half looking so damn good. It was looking so good. And then they fall apart and they score 64.
Huh.
And they give up a 95-yard whatever touchdown at the end.
Should know better than to pick that. Should have known better than to pick the under.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Joker.
No.
Never pick the under.
No. This is not this was not elite level. This is not Joker level football, okay? This is the under even dropped, the under dropped at one point to like 52 points or 54 points during the game. And they like don't score the whole third quarter until the end of it. It's oh my goodness. Well, no, it was, but it was still you kind of knew Washington was going to win that game.
Yeah,
they were pretty much in control of it. It felt like the whole way.
Like I said, the first half pretty much dictated where that game was going. It was nice to see Oregon at least come back and start to make it a football game, but they put themselves behind the 8 ball too soon, too fast, and against Washington, you can't play from behind.
Nope, their offensive firepower is legit. Their defense is obviously has been a little suspect as much as the Pac-12 is. It feels like,
but still, like,
kind of just let it score.
As long as you have an exemplary, offense or defense, you can beat a more balanced team like Oregon. Just outplay them in, facet of the game that much, and they did.
Well, and I think too they might have helped the Broncos a little bit because I think that knocks Bo Nix down a little bit further on the. Just saying.
That's all we can hope for, man. I'll take Bo Nix.
Penix gets moved up and Bo Nix gets dropped down.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll take either one.
I would take either one too.
Penix is not. I don't think Penix will be there.
No,
but the other news of the day is that Ewers from Texas is going back for another year. So
that's because his successor came out and looked pretty damn good, and he doesn't want to give it all up yet.
He doesn't want to. Yeah. The Arch
Manning kid,
I don't know. I don't know if that he said he's coming back, but man, if Texas makes a run in this playoff and they win it all,
national championship ring,
I don't know.
He's done.
Yeah, I don't know if you should go back to college. I mean, I know with the money that you can get now with NIL, but that's not NFL money, and that's guaranteed. We saw what happened to guys like Leinart dropping because of coming back for 1 year. It's
huge mistake. You got to look at your stock value too. You got to look at those, all those different draft predictions at this point, and what's going to benefit you the most. And I don't always tell kids not to finish their degrees because I mean if you're that close, and you can or should do it.
And entering the draft has nothing to do with finishing your degree. Guys finish their degree while in the NFL all the time.
Yeah. I'm just making sure that, that it's known too. I'm not saying finish college, say screw it all and go take your money and run.
Yeah. Money.
But if you get the money, definitely.
Well, and even when you look at it, you talk about winning football. I mean, is Caleb Williams is his stock still as high as it was before?
I don't think it is.
There's so many questions about is it Drake May who's the best one? Is it Caleb? Could it
honestly
be Ewers? Could it be Penix?
You know who's the guy that can shoot up and pass him? It's Penix.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. But there's question marks now. And if Ewers or any of these guys feel like they can outperform the other guy at the combine and become the number one pick, why wouldn't you?
That might be Ewers' thought process is that he would want to wait till next year when there's less ridiculous amounts. He'd rather be the Kenny Pickett that gets picked first out of all the quarterbacks at pick like 19 because nobody likes any of the quarterbacks. And turns out he was the only one that was decent, I'm pretty sure, from that class. And, I say decent with a grain of salt because his offense coordinator has been so terrible, we don't really even know.
Yeah.
But their defense is good enough that they're in the playoffs and they're good. But yeah, no, I could totally see this being another one of those years where there's just a shit ton of quarterbacks taken in the first round, and a whole bunch of jockeying for who's first and who's this and who's that.
I really wonder what Kuiper is going to do with his draft positioning with some of these quarterbacks now, because you look at the beginning of the season, it was all Caleb.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a team out there that wasn't vying to try and get Caleb. I mean, case in point, look at Carolina/Chicago.
Yeah.
But as the NFL season progressed, these quarterbacks either progressed or regressed as well, and shook the quarterback tree significantly to the point where it's going to be an interesting draft now. And you could be lucky sitting in the middle part of the rounds now, like Denver is.
Could be. I'm still. I'll never go away from this part of the belief that I don't want to be the last one to the party.
Yeah.
Picking a quarterback, or I don't want to be the fifth one to the party, fourth one, third one, wherever the quarterback situation ends up. I don't want those leftovers. I want my choice, and I want to get my guy, no matter what the Broncos say. This was our guy the whole time. That's bullshit when you're drafting it. Anything after number 2.
Yeah.
Like that is not your guy.
Yeah. Like I believed the Ravens when they said Lamar Jackson was always our guy. They moved up and got him. But at the same time, like they didn't have him as like a total first round pick because they took somebody else in the first round.
Yeah, I was gonna say he obviously wasn't their guy because they passed him one time. He was their guy. He was their guy in the second round.
Yeah. He was, and they saw he was there. And they're like, "Fuck it, we're gonna take it." But like, that's still like, and maybe they just decided to take the risk. Like they just knew that nobody was gonna take. Kind of like how the Broncos should have with Tim Tebow, knowing that you don't have to take him here. You can take another player, get 2 other first round picks, and still get Tim Tebow. But hey, we got Demaryius Thomas first and then Tebow, so it still worked out. But I don't like being that team. For every Lamar Jackson, there's 5 or 6 Mac Joneses.
Trubisky's and
Christian Ponder, Jake Locker, fucking Zach Mettenberger. Should I go on? Brandon Weeden.
I was just going to say Brandon Weeden. We just talked about him on Wednesday.
Yeah, my guy. We don't want those guys.
No, but again,
Paxton Lynch.
The good thing is too, you let the season play itself out too, and see a little bit more not only the character that they play with, but the quality of how well they can overcome what the season is, be it a run for a natty or the fact that you're just trying to keep your name in the Heisman run. You see what kind of character these kids have, and it should really help you with the draft pick as well.
Yeah. But honestly, though, even though we just said I don't really want to be that team that has to settle, looking at all these quarterbacks, I'm fine with all of them. Like, I would actually take whoever the last guy out of if it's Penix, Bo Nix, Drake May, Caleb Williams. I'm fine with whoever the worst
possibly.
guy. Yeah, possibly Ewers. I'm good with that. I'll take whoever the worst guy out of those guys is, because I think all those guys are going to be fantastic, and for different reasons in different ways. So like, whoever falls, I'm kind of good with that. Like if somebody decides to take, a proverbial Zach Wilson with the 2nd overall pick, and everyone's just like, who the fuck was that? BYU?
Well, and I think we have I know we say that now with what we've seen, but also you have to remember how much we learn about these guys in the next 4 months.
Yeah.
Some of these guys drop and some of them rise for different reasons. I mean, I know Justin Fields fell because of some BS comment about his heart condition or whatever.
Yeah.
Things come out over the next few months, and we also see different ways guys respond to this. Some guys come in and Jamarcus Russell it and blow up.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then some other guys take it seriously, and some just work out way too much and turn into oh my God, what's his name? Cleveland Browns, Brady Quinn.
Yeah.
Where
Brandon
all you
Bean.
are is muscle and you can't throw.
I just want to
So-
see who we're
Yeah.
podcasting with.
Gotcha. This is my dad. This is Brett
What?
Goodwin.
What's
Hey,
up,
nice to
Brett?
meet you.
Dad.
We'll see ya.
Uh,
It's not really any meeting going on, but
It's close enough.
there's some
We're-
seeing.
We're seeing to all the people watching Undrafted Uncensored.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of this. My son here. You have no
He's a
idea.
good guy. We're proud of him
Oh,
too.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
somehow it worked out because I'm such an idiot.
Well, no one said that he's not an idiot. Also,
no one said I'm smart.
he's just all of our idiot. All right.
Every group has to have one.
Thanks, Dad. I
Uh,
said that might happen.
That's all
Um,
good.
yeah, I mean, real quick before we move on, there's still those months between the end of the season and the draft too, where, like you said, off-field stuff, on-field stuff is all eventually going to come out. It could be anything from, like you said, the heart condition to they just do something criminally stupid, and so you got to deal with that too. And God forbid one of these guys does something like that. You hope they don't, but those are just more things that they have to look out for as potential teams.
Yeah.
So we'll get, that was a heartbreaker the other night.
Joe, muted if you're going away.
Hey Joe, hit your mute button for a minute if you're gonna.
Go away.
Oh, it was just real quick
Yeah, but
hug.
hit your
That was
mute.
it.
Hit your mute because it covers us.
Oh, okay. Did you? I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys could hear much. Sorry, my bad.
Avs lost a heartbreaker the other night in overtime.
But
Sad.
Makar and McKinnon scored, so that's all right with me.
I knew that was coming up. But again, they're getting production from other guys. It's not just Carr and McKinnon, which is good. And they're starting to gel a lot more. And I think this roadie here is going to be an interesting one.
We can hear about your burrito combo package, Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, they just left, so we're okay. Yeah, we got quite the burrito combo package. Let me tell you guys.
Go Nick.
But again, we're starting to get more production from guys that we normally hadn't yet. It seems like the team's finally getting together, and I think a good earlier in the season roadie like this, where they go down to Arizona, they get that game out of the way, and have a day off when they can go screw around in SoCal before they play the Kings. You can go do Disneyland or go hit the beach, go hit the links and have a nice 18 holes. As a team, I think now they've got the point where they know who the team is, where they can, how to hang out with each other and finally meld.
Less alcohol.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm still not as worried.
I'm not worried.
There's a lot of time. It sucks
sound
to lose
worried.
that in OT.
No, I'm not worried.
I just kind of
I'm
care
just messing
about,
with
tonight. I kind of hope that, McKinnon, Makar, Johansson all get a point. That would be good.
Hit the
make that bet?
under.
Under?
I don't know. That was just a
No, I actually tried to bet the over 7 goals because it was Prospatov tonight.
Mhm.
And I forgot to put it on my bet slip. So I was going to bet
Oh.
7 or over. And I did not have that in there. So unfortunately, yeah, but that's all right. I still got another little thing working.
I'm sure you do.
Much like my Kevin Durant double last night. Thank you. Thank you, Devin Booker, for not playing, and thank you, Phoenix Suns, for losing to the Nuggets.
Thank you for
Hell
that
yeah.
segue because the
You
Nuggets
see
showed
that
up. last night.
Kevin Durant passed Moses Malone in points, so
Yep.
he's now one of the top
10. He's 10.
Yeah, that's what I said. Totally.
Yeah, and the Nuggets looked good last night, missing two of their big boys, but the
Yeah.
starters showed up and they worked everybody into the starting lineup that they needed to get that early lead. I would have preferred that they kept it through the rest of the game, but they had other intentions, clearly. Joker being able to get Nurkic to foul out was pretty nice.
That's hilarious.
Nurkic always gets into foul trouble with Jokic, it feels like.
He wasn't in foul trouble, though, till the second half. That's what's even funnier.
But he didn't do anything the first half.
4 fouls in
Jokic
a
just
row.
puts it on him.
It was like 4 fouls in a row, and like in the fourth quarter, I was laughing.
Like I said, it always feels like, I don't know, Nurkic has a rough time with Jokic. I mean, not that he's the only one, but
everyone.
He finally gets so frustrated he starts to make stupid plays.
Yeah.
I think they have like kind of not necessarily a rivalry because like Nurkic can't really compete.
They're frenemies.
But like it's one of those where I feel like Jokic enjoys kind of scoring more on Nurkic. Like when I found out the Suns were getting Nurkic, I was like, oh, that's really good for them unless they play the Nuggets.
Yeah.
That's going to be terrible. But there's those guys. Ayton was one of those guys too. Like they really didn't upgrade that much in terms of the Jokic matchup. But I think overall, like Bradley Beal scares me more than Chris Paul did. So the kind of even swap from Ayton to Nurkic doesn't bother me too much. But yeah, I'd love that. There's that little, like not quite rivalry because we all know who won that trade, or like that kind of competition of who was going to be better. It was Jokic.
I was going to say it's the Broncos Chiefs saying from Frank Clark earlier. It's not really rivalry when one team beats that ass all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It's a rivalry on our end, sort of. But the Chiefs were never our biggest rivals anyway. It was always Broncos Raiders.
Oh. Yeah, there were some times for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs were still always there though too.
Oh, for sure. They were definitely like number 2. The Chargers were the one that was least cared about in terms of rivalry, I would say. But for a while, man, those Phillip Rivers teams, those pissed me off the most personally. So I hated the Chargers the most for a long time, especially as a kid. Just we could never seem to beat Rivers and LT. But yeah, no. Also I'd like to bring up for the Nuggets side. I know it's been a pod since we talked about this. Oh, we should talk about it last pod, but I missed it. How about DeAndre Jordan and Reggie Jackson going off for Lob City 2 against the Clippers? That was so fucking beautiful. I loved that so much. I went back and watched the highlights again tonight, and that was just to see DeAndre Jordan actually jumping up and catching, was it like 6 lobs, and scoring like 20-something points.
Yeah.
Reggie putting up 32. Like, holy is DeAndre Jordan this year's Jeff Green? Like, we're just going to use him in that playoff rotation and just go bigger? Because fuck it. If he catches a single lob in the playoffs, I'm getting a DeAndre Jordan jersey. That's it.
I was gonna say he got the Jeff Green treatment in the offseason, and now all of a sudden he can soar again. Not that Jeff Green couldn't soar ever really, but he got that old man treatment that gave him new life. I really
Jeff
like.
Green has some dunks, let me tell you. But I think DeAndre Jordan is this year's Vlatko Cancar for me.
I really like that performance too because Reggie Jackson double. Thank you.
Yeah, huge.
Just so you know, according to Michael Malone, Jamal is out for the game tonight against the Kings, and Aaron Gordon will be a game time decision.
It was stupid to play Jamal Murray in that game.
Yeah, honestly, let him both sit.
Bad call by Malone.
Do you think Jamal talked his way onto the court, though?
Yeah.
Because I don't see him not playing if he's hurt. I think he faked his way onto the court, and we all kind of saw how it worked out.
It was not good from the start.
I think in his mind, he was going to like play himself into better shape and kind of, the proverbial rub some dirt on it mentality. And it's too early in the season. It's not necessary. I'm good with sitting both these guys. I'm excited to see more of this bench. That's what I really want to see from a lot of these early games, especially because the Nuggets are still getting wins. They're still keeping themselves kind of in that race, and then sort of mid-season they'll hopefully start to pull away and be able to compete for the number one seed overall, which would be nice. But right now, like, I'm excited to see really anybody that's going to get more playing time, whether it's Najee or Strother or obviously DJ and Reggie. And then we know what we're going to get from Christian Brown and Peyton Watson. I think those guys are, as long as they don't, have some drastic fall off, those guys are going to be entrenched in the playoff rotation, despite drop-offs for trades.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice. We know like you said, we know what level they're at already. And to know that you can throw those guys into the top 5 and not miss a beat is really the most important part, because that's what helped the Nuggets last year. Is being able to rely on your bench enough, not necessarily rely is a bad word, but to be able to trust your bench enough that you can pull your starters and give them extended rest instead of quick rest to get back out there and reestablish themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's gonna be a fun season. It feels like every game that I don't catch, I feel like I miss something important. Even though it's like they're all just regular season games, whatever, just little things of like, oh shit, that would have been cool to see. I wish I'd caught more of that. I'm excited to see what random thing happens against Sacramento. Maybe Strother goes off again. Maybe Zeke Najee has a breakout game because he's looking like he's going to be one of those guys. Maybe used in a trade package, kind of like Bol or just the other guys at Bones last year. Guys that kind of get moved, but not because they're playing really well. The other teams want them, just because the Nuggets kind of want to get what they can for him and move on.
Yeah.
And I like him. I think he plays well, high energy, big guy. But I don't know, man. I think we need to see something from him because we just got so many other guys that can play, and we're gonna need a backup big.
Yeah, I mean it'll be nice.
Oh yeah, well,
like you said, you've got a lot of potential on that bench to make your team even better and go for that second run. Speaking of getting what you need, the winter meetings start next week. And so with the winter meeting starting next week, obviously Ohtani wants to get himself signed as quick as he can. And so far the story is the Yankees and the Padres continue to discuss a Juan Soto trade. I will reserve my feelings until you guys get your opinions in on those two players. Shohei's out there, though, right now, linked to several different teams. And it sounds like there are two teams right now in on the Soto march, and that's the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Colin, you're muted.
The Blue Jays would be really fun for Soto. The Yankees, I don't know if he would really. I don't feel like he would fit with the Yankees. There's something that feels like that's a marriage that's meant to end in divorce. I don't know if I like that. Not for any disdain of the Yankees. I just don't think it's the right fit. But for the Blue Jays, I do think it is because that's kind of how they're built. They're built with a Soto type of guy in mind. And they have consistency. They have some average. I don't know why their pitchers don't pan out in Toronto. But yeah, I think the Blue Jays, the other interesting one, I mean, obviously I heard the Dodgers is a possibility, and that would be scary.
Yeah, but
really damn good.
The Dodgers, it wouldn't help them any because they need pitching. They've got enough hitting and enough fielding right now that they're desperate for pitching right now, especially with Kershaw being, basically on his way out. They've got some decent starters, but what's his name? Was it Lopez that's suspended right now for the domestic violence thing?
Don't know.
I can't remember. Who's the kid from Mexico. So there's two pitchers right there that you can't really rely on. They got another guy that's going to be coming back from Tommy John. So they need pitching more than they need more power hitting. They've got enough bats to keep up with the Braves right now. The Blue Jays would be a good fit, I think, for Soto. Like you said, because of his youth, because of the way he plays. I don't want to say arrogance, but it's about the best way I can put it right now is he plays with a flair of arrogance that it fits right into the youth movement that's going on in Toronto. The other thing, though, is you say he won't fit in the Bronx. They need somebody with that kind of attitude right now. You look at the 2009 team, they had a Nick Swisher. If as long as you've known Nick Swisher and his personality before he went to the Bronx, would you said that dude was going to fit in there?
I think more so is that the Yankees. I think the Yankees are trying to turn a corner as far as that fit looks. Like that's more of what I feel. Like, yeah, I know you wouldn't say that, but also 2009, it was kind of a time that the Yankees were piling in everybody they could. It didn't matter it felt like it didn't matter a lot of your history.
Yeah, but
what you did?
Would you expect the Yankees though to be a team that goes?
Well, I never expected them to sign Johnny.
Pies.
I never expected them to sign Johnny Damon. So
Yeah.
Of course it could surprise me, but I really think that the Yankees are trying to change and turn over. They're trying to set up a foundation for their next set of runs. That's what I feel like, and I don't think they want Soto as the face or one of the leaders of that.
No. Well, and the problem too is he's a Boras client. So Boras is not going to let him sign an extension right now. He's going to let that contract finish itself out. And I'm not renting a player for that high of prospects for a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
I don't even care if it's Shohei Ohtani. You can take Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig back from the dead. I'm not giving you all those prospects for a 1-year rental on them.
The only time you take that rental is when you're already in the playoff hunt at the trade deadline.
Yeah. But even then,
you don't know what this team is going to be next year after such a down year this year, so you can't do that. But that's, I mean, I guess that's another reason why. But yeah, I think the Blue Jays see their opportunity and they want to get that, now, and that attitude in their clubhouse, it would fit in. It's not, like I said, it's arrogant, but the Blue Jays are an arrogant, cocky bunch, and they deserve to be because they're pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to get him, and part of me feels also like this is the Blue Jays being vindictive and like, oh yeah, here we have this. Go ahead, Yankees, match our offer. I can name that tune. I can name that tune in 7 notes, and I can hear Brian Cashman right now. I can name that tune in 4 notes. It's just a matter of who gets down to 1.
Can you name this next tune?
Is it the Victory Formation?
This is the Victory Formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Least. Featuring Nick Archuleta wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin just kind of winging it.
Well, some might say that I'm kind of winging it with how things have been going the last few weeks, looking for a turnaround this week. But before we get things kicked off with the Victory Formation, the new segment that we'll have coming up on Wednesday is going to be Joe's Bad Loss segment. Joe Goodwin's Bad Loss. Or Bad Game.
I think I can safely unmute it now. Literally for the past 10 minutes, it's just been nothing but, burritos and cheese. And, Joe, are you going to eat your burrito? Yes.
So the game that we're all going to have Joe recap this week, as chosen by the majority of people that choose this, which would be me. You get to watch the Falcons and Jets game.
That sounds awesome. I picked up the Falcons defense. I'm going to watch that anyway.
I'm looking for the bad recap of a good win for a terrible team.
Yeah. I have such a horrible matchup in fantasy this week. I need a million miracles to go right.
Yes, you do.
It's going to be rough, fellas.
I do too, because I was up against DK Metcalf for some damn reason. Well, speaking of needing miracles, the Broncos have been a miracle over the last 5 weeks, but they head down to Houston this week in our first game of the Pick'em, as clamored for by the other two here who also make decisions. In our victory formation, game number 1 to choose from is the Broncos versus the Texans. Broncos underdogs at plus 136, Texans at minus 162. Nick, where are you going to go? Because we already know.
Yeah. We already talked about it. The Broncos, as long as they continue to exploit the weak pass defense that the Texans have and control that front four of the Texans defense.
Pod? Come sit down.
Wow. And add to that, as long as they can keep CJ Stroud one-dimensional, Denver can walk away with a victory. So I'm going to go Denver.
Hell yeah. Sadly, my friend Jimbo, I think he's a little too drunk. He doesn't want to come be on the show.
Well, who do you got, Joe?
We all know who I'm going to pick. I've picked against the Broncos every single week since for the win streak. So, like I said, I've been picking against them the past couple. I'm picking Houston. There's no that's how it has to be, CJ Stroud's a really good quarterback. He can kill you. The running game that they have is kind of scary good. I don't know how much they're going to actually use Dameon Pierce, but Devin Singletary, even though he didn't get a ton of rushing yards last week, he had a bunch of catches for good yards, and their defense can get after the pass, at least with the pass rush. So, even though obviously we know why I'm picking against the Broncos, it's still plausible. Houston could win, and we'll see if I'm wrong.
And Joe continues with his reverse curse jinx that is all too familiar with anyone who plays fantasy. And yes, the reverse jinx, always a good thing to do if you want your team to win. I guess I'm doing the same thing because I'm going with the Texans. The 11 o'clock start time for the Broncos Mountain Time is going to be very difficult tomorrow.
Whiskey. I can have whiskey.
Broncos. We move on to our second game, Sunday Night Football. That is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Green Bay Packers. Packers home underdog at plus 205, Chiefs minus 250. Joe, who you got?
Why are you picking this game? Kansas City.
Because it's prime time, baby.
I know.
We pick the prime time games just like we pick Sunday night baseball.
I know. I'm with you. But come on, it's Kansas City. There's nobody. There's no. Obviously, there's a chance any given Sunday. Blah blah blah. Anyone can win. The Packers have talent. They have decent players on defense. Mahomes could have the flu. But yeah, no, it's Kansas City.
Mahomes could also not have any wide receivers like he does currently.
Rashee Rice has been fine.
He's been all right, but he still doesn't have a stud wide receiver. We saw some of this even in New England with Tom Brady. Once they started to think they could just throw anyone out there, it did not look as good. And I have a feeling the Chiefs are kind of falling into that trap of thinking that Mahomes can just do it without getting the talent there with him. That being said, the Packers are also Packers have their own little winning streak going too. Just an FYI, Jordan Love has looked better, but I still go with the Chiefs because just a better. I trust Mahomes more than Love. Nick,
it's Green Bay. They're in Lambeau. They have to show something to their fans. Like you said, they are on a little winning streak right now. Jordan Love has looked better. I still don't trust that Chiefs offense right now. There's just something missing in there, and could be a wide receiver.
Probably a wide receiver.
Probably a wide receiver. Yes.
I didn't want to make you sound all right. It could be a wide receiver. Their running game's still suspect too. They're good, but they're sus good. and I don't trust Suskid. So I'm gonna go with the Packers to A, be different, and B, there's just a feeling that I have that they're gonna come out in front of that home crowd in Lambeau in that cold weather and ball out.
Prime time, baby.
There you
All
go.
right, we move to Monday Night Football in the game that really should have been one of the better games on Monday Night Football this year, but doesn't appear to be that way. Cincinnati Bengals visit the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cincinnati
Jacksonville
underdogs
Jaguars.
at plus 340. The Jaguars are minus 440 home favorites. Yeah, I mean, I'm going with the Jaguars. I don't. Cincinnati doesn't have a quarterback. Jacksonville has a tendency to fold in this one. So if I was taking the points, I'd probably lean Cincinnati, but Jacksonville should win the game. Nick.
Yeah, I've fell victim to the Joe Burrow incident. So
We're so
because
sorry.
I hate the Bengals now and I despise everything that is
I hate
Bengals.
the Bengals now.
Why do you still have
Tigers.
3 of them starting on your fantasy team?
Tigers are still my favorite animal, but I hate the Bengals. I hate Cincinnati, and I hate everything they are right now. And I hope
Wrong,
they
Cincinnati.
get just throttled by the Jacksonville Jaguars because I hate the Jaguars too. But that's for other personal reasons, not the NFL Jaguars. I just hate the Jaguars team right now.
I much prefer Cougars over Jaguars.
I'm a
Joe,
big
who you
Cougars
got?
fan. Love me some Cougars. Yeah, no, it's Jacksonville. I mean, any of these games could have an upset. I was just thinking, like, imagine the narrative if the Packers do beat the Chiefs. Like, the Packers would be reeling. Other teams
Chiefs would be
now
reeling.
be like, or the Packers, Chiefs. You're right. Chiefs be reeling. I know who we're talking about in team names. The number one
Sports.
seed becomes even more up for grabs than it already is, and it's extremely up for grabs right now. Like that's going to be crazy. So like that's kind of the same thing. If the Bengals happen to win this game, Jacksonville's reeling. They've got problems. They're inconsistent. 1 week it's Kirk, 1 week it's Ridley. That one time it was Zay Jones.
Travis
what are they-
Etienne.
Yeah. What are they even doing? ETN's pretty consistent, actually. It's just they don't always win when he plays well.
The last 2 weeks he hasn't been, but yes.
Really? I thought he was good. Colin probably has him in fantasy in one of his leagues.
I do not actually. I tried to get him all over the place, but I do not. I just
I did too.
I've
But
followed
yeah,
him.
so I feel like it's got to be Jacksonville. So just because this is one of those games where it's not as big as it would have been if Burrow was playing and this was like 2 playoff contenders going against each other. But they have to come out here and prove that they are the better team and they deserve to potentially be that number 1 seed, which would be hilarious. If Jacksonville, for the first time, I'm assuming in the history of that team, gets a first overall seed, crack me up.
Kitty City. Well, because we all loved the extra games last week and they really helped me out.
Yeah.
Let's go to another possible number 1 seed. We're gonna go bet some in-season tournament magic. We have the Celtics versus the Pacers in the first game of the semi-quarter whatever finals of the in-season tournament. We got 2 games that we're picking here, fellas. Celtics Pacers first game. Nick, Celtics are at the Pacers, by the way. Nick, who you got?
I'm gonna go Pacers.
Oh, Nick going the Pacers. Joe, who you got?
That's really tough. We had the best offense in the NBA versus I don't know how high the Celtics defense ranks in the NBA. I know the Magic have the best, but they've always been a very good defensive team. But they score a lot. That's really tough. I think I'm with Nick.
That's why they made the semifinals or whatever part of the in-season tournament because they're both that
absolutely because it's a phenomenally important tournament. They've done
huge
such a
tournament.
great job. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm going with Nick. I'm going to ride the Tyrese Halliburton high. They're amazing on offense right now. They have Bruce Brown. I don't need another reason.
Well, I'm going the Celtics because they're just I think they're a more seasoned team, and so I think they're also just a better overall team. So give me the Celtics. Next game that we got, Pelicans versus the Kings. That's for those of you who don't know, New Orleans has the Pelicans and Sacramento has the Kings. is in Sacramento. Joe, who you got?
That was mean, but I loved it. I'm taking Sacktown. Pelicans, even though Zion, I think, has played decently and played a decent bit. They're so all over the place. I don't trust the Pelicans. It's Sacramento. We know what they are. They're a heavy offense team. They run through Sabonis. De'Aaron Fox is really good. Their defense is a little bit sus, but who cares? Just fucking put up points. I'm taking Sacramento. Light the beam.
The Kings have had a down year, but it's tournament time, baby, and I expect them to come through big with a victory here also. Nick, who you got? Pelicans or Kings?
He's taking the Pelicans.
I'm thinking about it just to be different, but
There are no odds available for this game, by the way.
Oh, there's not?
So
Okay.
there's no odds. So we are just picking.
I don't know. Zion's been too healthy too long, and I just don't know if I can trust him at this point. Like, I feel like when's this game? Tuesday? Monday?
Or Tuesday?
He'll be hurt by
Monday.
then.
It should be Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
So
Yeah,
over the
he'll
next
definitely be
3
hurt.
nights, there's a potential that Zion can actually get hurt.
Is he going to get through 3 nights?
Yeah, can he get through 3 more days of basketball before he gets hurt again?
I love that.
But
It's Monday.
Sacramento. Screw it. I'll go with the Pelicans. Why not?
Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. Here we come.
I had to go different, and I don't know.
Jonas
Let Zion
Valanciunas.
teach me a lesson.
And there we have it. That is your victory formation for this weekend
And
with all the
there you
extra
have it.
games. Since we're just adding games in that aren't prime time anymore, we'll just add it all in.
Yeah, it's a wild card.
Yeah.
Cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
There's always more than one wild card.
You know what, Nick? You thought you didn't have a chance to catch up, but now you do. Who knows what I'm going to do next week with this segment?
Whoa.
Maybe we pick all 14 games.
No.
Or 13.
All
Or
like
15.
No.
college women's basketball.
15.
No.
I got a college women's basketball insider, everybody. So
Yeah, I know. I do too. I'll text KJ before the show.
yep.
Not fair.
Yeah, you know when college women's basketball is up, I've talked to our friend KJ. Shout out
Yeah.
KJ.
We'll just give you KJ's number, Nick. It'll be fine.
Thanks.
Oh,
Include me in the
that's,
group chat.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say thanks for everybody who tuned in and hung around to the victory formation part. Appreciate
Yeah,
y'all.
you
Love
guys are
y'all.
cool. You guys,
Yeah.
we appreciate everything about you,
Thank
even
you,
the
everybody, for
things
tuning
that
in.
aren't great.
Yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Michael Spillin and the crew over at e5280sports.com for having our show on their network. And tomorrow morning, don't forget, Wheelhouse will be airing at, 7?
8:30.
8:30 in the morning. So get up, go check them out. They're better than us.
Set an alarm.
But they're awesome too. They have us on here. Also, Between the Lines, Gridiron Intel.
It could be pretty good. I mean, there's a possibility I'm on there, so you know.
That would be awful. That would.
Colin will drag the show down with his arrogance.
I don't know. When you see those numbers, all those metrics.
Yeah, sure.
What was this about
Did you
numbers,
see I
Colin?
shared our?
I did that the right way. You guys see that?
Look at that.
You didn't go down.
I'm learning. I'm learning with how the camera angles work here.
As long as
And
you
also,
just go
did you guys
up.
see I shared our year-end rap thing on Spotify?
No,
Or
I
on
didn't.
Spotify.
I don't know why that didn't get notified.
It's on our Facebook page. I thought it was on our Instagram too.
I didn't get
Hey.
notified of it, or maybe I was busy. But
That's how it
Probably
goes.
too busy.
Anyway,
I'm pulling it up. Hang on, give me a minute.
we love everybody. Thank you. Thanks for watching, sharing,
Yeah.
liking, subscribing, doing whatever.
all
We
those
do this
things.
because we love it.
So our numbers. Our best episode was episode 42.
The Jackie Robinson one.
211 more streamers than our average episode
Word.
for
That
episode
sounds like
42.
bots, but I love it. I love bots. Send us bots. If people that are watching right now, if you have bots to send us, we would love some.
You could just put it on mute and play it in the background.
We were
Yeah.
no, because I got to push the button. We were streamed in 2 countries.
Yeah, to push the button.
The United States was our number 1 country, obviously.
That doesn't make any sense. That's
Good
ridiculous.
taste. Our listeners listen to sports, comedy, and news on podcasts.
Yeah.
They like to be informed.
We
They
do all those things.
rap, pop, and rock music.
We also do all those things.
Our fans told their friends about us. Our podcasts were shared all over, 58% by text,
Hell
25%
yeah.
by direct link, and 17% by other.
Well, thanks, other.
And
Word to your other.
most shared episode was episode 5, The Empire Strikes Out.
Yep.
Back when we did Star Wars themed
Yes.
intros.
That was fun. That was
It was
fun.
fun for a while, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
Thank you guys for all of that. People
yes,
shared.
thank you everybody
That's
for tuning in. Once again, I'm Nick Archuleta. Colin Zankers is playing the outro music. Joe's going to go eat a burrito. And I'm going to go watch the Avalanche.
How'd you guys know?
Thank you again, everybody. Good night. We love you. We'll see you next week. Don't forget, sports are awesome.
Okay,
Bye,
I love you.
everybody.
Bye.